Lamar Jackson, to me, and you could clip this, is a system quarterback. He's not a true passer. He hasn't, and they've hurt him in that way. And I think the rest of the league sees that, and they stunted his growth. It's one of those things where, they just focused on his strength and didn't let him develop, and now he's kind of a one-trick pony.
I hate to say it. I'm putting Burrow down. I'm putting Burrow probably down around 8 this year.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
I am not as high on Burrow.
So when the Bengals,
what does Wikipedia
when
say
the
about this?
Bengals were in the Super Bowl in the 80s, right? Boomer Esiason and all that jazz. These Browns didn't exist. Then he started Browns Part 2. Then the Browns ceased to exist. So now the Bengals are the real Browns, and then there's a new Browns.
Yeah, do you remember how the Browns were actually kicked out of the league for 2 years?
So the Bengals are the real Browns. I think that they weren't even around.
Yeah, they weren't.
No, those Browns.
Those Browns did.
Not these Browns. Hey, what's going on, everybody? We're back. This is Guys on Sports. How you doing, Zach? How was the all-male trip?
Man, it was nothing like what you guys talked about. I am tan and my liver is fried.
So no hot guys?
There was a few.
For sure. All mask, no sale.
I was one of them. And maybe 5 of my friends. That's it. That's about it.
So on a scale of 1 to 10,
10.
What's
the question?
How close did you come?
Whoa.
Hey.
Well, no, I'm going to finish this. How close did you come to forgetting that you had a significant other at home?
Oh, nothing. I was so it was 1 means like I was fine, and 10 means like I almost forgot.
Yeah.
1 then. I was
Really?
chilling. Yeah, I was the keeper of the peace.
Yeah. Way to go.
Yep.
Is that why she's sitting in the car in the parking lot right now?
We did a thing each day. We picked an LVP.
So I did a thing.
It's giving. No, so we picked an LVP each day was a 7-day cruise. I got one of the LVPs.
What is that? Tell me.
Least valuable player. Just like you couldn't hang, or you did something stupid, or you.
So what did you do to earn the
earn
LVP?
Maybe it's a story for another time.
Wow.
Maybe it's a story. Right?
My friend won it. He was a 4-time heavyweight, 3-time back-to-back LVP. So
wow.
We made a little like trophy.
Shit faced?
Yeah.
Is that the guy that's on your other podcast?
I don't know.
I kind of feel like you answered that answer.
What's his name?
No comment.
All right, so
Drink your banana bourbon and shut up.
it's been a nice week. It's been a weird week. I know we're not supposed to talk about our personal lives here anymore, but the weather's been great. And I went to the zoo.
This is an intro.
I went to the zoo, and let me tell you something. I had a way better time than I thought I was going to
The
have.
zoo is like classic.
Which one you go to? Tampa or Jacksonville? Tampa. I've been to Tampa yet.
Yeah.
I think you called me when you were at the zoo because you were like, I'm feeding a llama. You
well,
said
my
that.
wife was feeding a llama.
Yeah, and I was like, what the hell are you doing? I was thinking, what are you doing, man?
Well, I didn't expect to be on the phone with you 25 minutes, Rocky. I said I was calling you just to let you know.
Give me an update. When how's the llama taking the food out of her hand?
Anyway, so we're going to continue our series this week of touching on every division in the NFL and giving a small but introspective outlook on their 2023 fantasy season. Pre-draft, I'll just be sure to timestamp this video with that. This is pre-draft.
Yeah, pre-draft.
We're going to be talking NFC North today, very near and dear.
AFC North.
AFC North today. Why did it say NFC North up there?
Because we didn't.
Because you didn't change it from last week.
We didn't change it.
Well, you wrote Browns down under your name, but you couldn't change.
Notice all the teams in the AFC North listed. However, NFC.
I'm just looking at the big header right there. But
I
thought you would help a brother out there, Rocky. But
I helped you out there, but I actually didn't even see the NFC North.
Yeah.
You like big headers? You look like a big header guy.
I like my big header. So AFC North is what we're going with, and very near and dear to Rocky's heart, as I was saying before. Is this the black? This is not the black and blue division. Is this the black and blue?
That's NFC North.
NFC North. What do they call your division?
The
It's like
forgettable.
similar, right?
The Steelers were good for a decade, maybe
Like
two, and then the rest
Overweight
It's Pandora.
fan division.
Pandora's box. No one fucking
I'm gonna
talks
let
about
you
it.
guys
White trash
say whatever you
fan
want to
division.
say.
I don't know. Which one is it?
I mean, I don't know. I'll let you guys.
All right. So who wants to start? Mark is going to talk Bengals. Zach's talking Ravens. Rocky's talking Browns, and I'll talk the Steelers.
I say we just get him out of the way. I mean,
Floor is open. You want to go? Well, you're going to go long.
You are gonna go long.
You're going to go long.
I'm not gonna go long.
First time
This
in your
is
life.
bullshit.
Go for it.
I'll go quick if we want to start with
Go
that.
quick, yeah.
He did come off an all fucking gay cruise. You
He's
know
tapped,
he's going quick.
tapped out.
Wow.
So-
Yeah, not that there's anything wrong with that.
I don't even know where to. So we're talking fantasy implications for the offseason with the Ravens. Huge question mark, obviously, with Lamar Jackson. I think it doesn't matter. I think you're rostering Lamar Jackson the same you would the last 3 to 4 years. Me personally, I have him in a dynasty league, and I'm keeping him. I'm not a seller for Lamar Jackson, and that is it. Every other Baltimore skill player, I am not even looking at in drafts. If they follow me and it's a great value, sure. If I'm getting Dobbins at a good value, no receiver I'm taking. The Ravens are expected to draft a receiver, and the fact that the GM has kind of talked shit about his own draft picks when it comes to receiver, I think like they're going to put up or shut up there.
He wants him to step up.
Yeah. So I'm thinking like look at like maybe an Addison or like a Zay Flowers, someone like that. I could see being a player that I would draft in that Ravens offense. But
let me
that's it.
ask you a question. What about Mark Andrews?
I'm staying away from Mark
Why?
Andrews. I think the timeshare is over. I think he had a good few years. That you can't draft him where like the cream of the crop tight end like round 3 or 4 is anymore. I mean, I like Isaiah Likely over those 2 tight ends.
Look at you. You take a cruise full of balls and you come back with a pants full of balls.
Come back
What a great fucking analysis out of your mouth, dude. I'm surprised. I'm happy.
I don't like how hard you're riding him
Yeah, I
because
don't like
I've
that.
been
I like
pumping
this.
Isaiah Likely since last draft.
I know that, but he took a stand, dude. He said it's time to dump Andrews, right? He just
Dump
he just
Andrews. Oh,
said
you
it.
see, you dump
Yeah.
Andrews.
Why didn't you say it? He said it first.
Yeah.
I don't dump Andrews.
I don't believe
Yeah.
that you dump Andrews yet.
You gotta trade him for something because of the namesake there, but you can't cut the guy, of course. But as far as like redraft leagues go, like I literally am not looking at any Ravens player besides Lamar Jackson and besides a receiver if they draft like a good if they draft a good one in like the late rounds.
Here's the facts, right? So if Andrews stays in Baltimore, do they franchise him?
No.
Andrews, no, he's on a contract.
Yeah.
We talked about this.
I thought he was free agent this year.
No, he just got extended last year.
So Andrews, right, sticking around in town, there's a lot that goes into play there, right? So you're gonna have to bring in. Lamar's as good as gone, right? We all think that Lamar's as good as gone.
I have a different take on that,
You
but
think? I don't know. I think he might. I think he might be gone. So you're gonna have a bona fide quarterback come in there with Andrews, and like you, I think Andrews had his time. I think Isaiah Likely is the stronger. He's the younger, more spry tight end that showed that he's super capable, and I think he's going to meld with whatever quarterback they bring in. And I think they're actually going to. I think they're going to draft quarterback at some point, and they're going to bring somebody in, and I think they're going to progress in that nature. And I like Likely. You're going to overpay for Andrews, not knowing what you're going to get, and you're going to get Likely at a super value in your drafts right now.
Likely's like the next Mike Gesicki, some would say.
All right.
Yeah, well, I mean, not
now,
that good.
now you
Let's-
just
let's
lost
hope-
all your credibility.
Let's hold back.
Let's hope
yeah.
he's that good.
So let me ask you a question. What is your take on Lamar Jackson? So you think he's 100% staying?
Well, I don't think
No.
100%, but like the Ravens did commit to Lamar by giving him a tag in some degree. I mean, the only way that I can see a team acquiring Jackson is if they miss on the quarterback that they want to draft. So like draft day, you got to wait and see, of course, but
Yes.
I think it's like the Aaron Rodgers or Tom Brady thing. It's like all this shit in the offseason, but like the team that has the quarterback already has committed to them to a degree, and the rest is just fucking hearsay at this point.
I think the draft is a big tentpole thing for the whole Lamar Jackson situation. I do think I think teams are waiting to see what happens there. I think there's no way he doesn't get an offer sheet, but I think teams are also waiting him out a little bit to see if he comes to his senses. He's not going to get the money that he wants. As a matter of fact, the free agency so far has gone perfect for the owners.
Yeah.
Guys are not getting the money they were expecting to get.
Yeah.
Lamar's hanging out there. I think it's swinging in their favor a bit, and I think he's going to have to come off that number. And if not, he's going to be with the Ravens. I don't think he wants to be there, though.
He doesn't. The reports are he's gone.
Here's the crazy thing. Like, and we can like the player, we can hate the player, we can say whatever we want to say.
Do you hate him?
But no, I'm talking about Lamar. But when Deshaun Watson when the mere idea that the Texans were going to trade him, 12 teams immediately stood up knowing that they might have to pay him almost a guaranteed contract in the $200 million.
Mm-hmm.
Jackson, nobody. Like, it's shocking to me because what the league is saying
it's not fair to him. It's not fair to him.
Probably not fair to him, but what the league is saying is we don't value you the way you value you.
Yeah.
And we don't like the fact that you're your own negotiator.
Yeah, that is. I think it is a little bit of a referendum on that.
And I think that it's hurt him because when you have an agent, you don't know the bad things the team is saying about you to your agent. Because it's a negotiation. They're saying, well, come on now, man. He's a running quarterback. He's going to get hurt. He knows everything, so he's pissed off. Like he's getting angrier and angrier at the Ravens.
But he's still handling it so well, though.
Well, he is, but it's got to be in back of his mind. Like, how do you want to play all out for a team that's trashing you to yourself?
And you got to remember in that the legal tampering period, when a lot of these deals started getting done, nobody could contact him because he's a player.
Right.
So he had no representation working behind.
Yes, that hurt
so that
too.
puts him a little bit behind the eight ball with that. It's a
and
tough
Huntley
situation.
was Huntley. I mean, I know he was a backup, but he made the All Pro. So like.
He didn't make an All-Pro.
That was Fugazi.
He made a Pro Bowl.
He made a Pro Bowl, but he did
that
a
wasn't
good impression.
Dude, Derek Carr didn't have a team.
Good
That's like
impression of
saying
Lamar
Trevor
Jackson.
Lawrence made a Pro Bowl for crying out loud.
Your point is on paper. You can make that point,
He
but
made a good impression.
He was bad.
Lamar beats the Bengals in the playoffs last year.
I will say this is something that people said for a while, and
That's
I've
what you
said
think.
Lamar Jackson to me, and you could clip this, is a system quarterback. They had to curtail that entire offense to make it work with him. His MVP year, he improved his downfield passing. He's not a true passer. He hasn't, and they've hurt him in that way by committing to make the offense in a style that could aid in what he does. They have cut his legs off, just figuratively speaking, not realistically, but being able to develop into an NFL passer, and I think that goes into the thinking of them putting him on this non-exclusive tag, because I think doing that, they knew what they were doing, and they're willing to lose him because I think the rest of the league sees that he's not a guy that if he keeps banging his knee up is going to be able to win from the pocket.
Yeah,
and they stunted his growth. It's one of those things where they just focused on his strength and didn't let him develop, and now he's kind of a one-trick pony.
Yeah, I mean he's not the biggest guy. He's not the stoutest guy. So like. It's not like a running quarterback that's 6'5" and 240 pounds. It's different.
Yeah,
like
he's not Justin Fields.
Yeah, he's prone to injury.
To put a bow on it, I mean, I think as far as fantasy goes, like Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen to me are very similar, as they care for more than 2/3 of their offense. Both mobile guys, touchdown orientated. I still am taking Lamar Jackson in the spot that I took him last year.
You take him if he winds up in Tennessee?
Yeah, I mean, because he's the offense. Anywhere he goes, he's the offense.
Yeah.
So I will back you up in that. I will take no matter where.
And if
Lamar
they keep Derrick
goes.
Henry too, which they probably won't, but like I think Lamar Jackson's kind of like foolproof as far as fantasy
Well,
goes.
when we say take him, what are we saying though? Like, I mean, obviously you would take him, but
but like
where
Are you
high?
reaching for him?
No, I wouldn't. Well, I wouldn't reach for him, but I mean, after like Mahomes, after Hurts, I mean, I would probably take Lawrence over Jackson.
Like, I have a hot take. If he's not in Baltimore, I'd take Watson before I take him.
Ooh, no.
Because I haven't seen. Is anybody going to run that offense? Are they going to change? I mean, that coaching staff is a progressive coaching staff.
It's funny the point that you brought up, because it plays to the other aspect too. Is they potentially stunted what he's capable of doing too.
Yeah,
he's capable of also exploiting
maybe
a defense through the air. I think he's got a very strong arm. He's proven to be pretty accurate. And, I mean, newsflash, the guy's a highlight reel, right? So I like him no matter where he goes.
Not the last couple of years, though.
I just think, like, whoever is trading for or like getting Lamar Jackson is committing to that. They're committing to Lamar Jackson, so they're not just gonna like, all right, do what you can. Like they're going to add things. They're gonna make him work.
Yeah.
They're not all Harbaugh in that coaching staff either.
That's true.
No, but I mean, you bring him into a system that's centered around the line of scrimmage, but still has playmakers out wide, like in Indianapolis. Oh my God, Lamar and Indy would be.
That's fair. So I guess the point I'm making is, can he be a serviceable quarterback outside of that system? Yeah, but there was all this ranting and raving about how revolutionary that run game, the most complex run game in the league, they basically said. The way they structured that around them is not like anything else in the league, really. Now, there's versions of it now,
but also look what happened. I mean, he's never had a true complement of his run game around him either. Every year, his stud running backs are going down.
When he did,
He's had no receivers.
The year when J.K. was the healthiest, he looked the best. It was his MVP year.
Yeah.
And J.K. was only healthy at the end of the season, though.
Right, yeah. But you look at like last year, 17 touchdowns, 7 interceptions.
He was hurt.
Yeah.
Big ass.
And he had to run because I think he didn't have that. I think in the right offense with the right, running back with him.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he can flourish, but it's going to come a lot with running, and God forbid he gets hurt.
Yeah, but even in the wrong offense, like last year, like they weren't firing on all cylinders last year either, and he was putting up like 40 fantasy points in some games.
That's fair.
Like I think no matter my point, I think is it's not a perfect situation in Baltimore anymore because like their offensive coordinator is gone too, and it's not a perfect situation anywhere he goes. That's not Baltimore. So like I'm still taking Jackson. He's gonna be 70 to 75% of offense wherever he goes.
The thing about Jackson that worries me is that he is a principled guy, which I respect. But I think he's a principled guy who might, on a franchise tag, if he sticks in Baltimore, on a franchise tag that he thinks he's being underpaid.
Do you think he sits out or something?
I don't think he sits out, but I think his heart's not in it. And I think he doesn't play. He plays to not get hurt. And I think it changes who he is.
How would your heart be in that situation, though, if you think about it that way, right?
I'm not saying he's criticizing him.
Here's the
Yeah,
franchise.
I'm not criticizing
right.
him, yeah.
But, I mean, you can't expect them to either, right? Here's
But I
a
think that
franchise
affects
that's
fantasy, though.
He's just been proving it for the last.
That's right.
a franchise that disrespects you, says, here, you're going to take what we're giving you and you're going to like it.
I don't think it's
And-
listen.
You can't expect him to go out there and try to make a point for Baltimore.
Well, and I get that he feels disrespected, but from a straight business perspective, you've got a slight quarterback who runs a lot and who has shown when he runs a lot, he has a propensity to get injured. I think that they're not like, I think maybe they're valuing him right long term. Why do you want to guarantee a quarterback who could miss 4 to 6 games a year an injury, $200 million?
Yeah, no, it's not the wrong
Right. Yeah,
thought.
you're right. And so, like, if they could get 2 number 1 picks and pick a C.J. Stroud.
Yeah, but he's going to Carolina.
Yeah, he is. But, well, I think he's going to Texans earlier. But whatever, whoever he's going with. But,
Panthers have the one.
All right,
you're
let's
right,
move on to the Steelers. I'll talk to Steelers real quick because I don't know. I have mixed feelings. We touched on them a few weeks ago a little bit. Quarterback. Obviously, we've seen some flashes, but it's hard to invest in one of these receivers early. I do like Pickens a lot. Deontay Johnson they extended, but I'm not. I say Pickens the guy I would take a swing on.
Yes.
And I guess Johnson you can roster as a like 4th or 5th
He's a
wide
PPR
receiver.
guy.
I just don't know what the offense is going to look like. A guy I'm not investing in is Najee Harris. The injury thing bothers me a little bit. His lack of production, just not looking right last year, at times bothers me. I do like Jaylen Warren for the value, especially in dynasty leagues where you can stash him and maybe move him in the middle of the season to the Najee Harris owner for something, or maybe after this year he winds up somewhere else and you got him rostered cheap. Besides that, I'm not really investing. I mean, Freiermuth is a waiver wire guy.
Actually,
I like Freiermuth a lot.
I think Freiermuth is going to be like a top. I would argue top 5, definitely top 8 tight end. I think he's like a starter in a lot of leagues.
I don't agree.
I love that he's got a bunch of clippable shit. My Gesicki takes are gonna look.
Well, the problem with tight end is like, who else are you taking?
I mean, before in top 5.
Yeah,
I mean, we could rattle off some names. I'm sure.
it's Kelsey, obviously.
Yeah. I would take Kittle. I'm waiting for nobody
Freiermuth.
else to jump in. No, I want to take Freiermuth.
I think Kyle Pitts has a resurgence. I think that Dallas Goedert is going to play a big hand in that offense.
Goddard, yeah.
Oh, I'll take Waller too.
I think
it's going to be
Walter
interesting.
in New York
I think
is gonna
Waller
be,
does have a resurgence.
See, the problem with tight ends though, if it's not Kelsey and it may be Goddard, because I like Kelsey and Goddard, it's
the next 6 are all the same.
you have to like throw a dart.
Yep.
So if I'm throwing a dart, it's the Pickett Freiermuth combination that worked well last year.
Wow, you totally just you knocked yourself down a couple pegs in my book that you named Goddard as the tight end too.
Well, because you got to think of consistency. I mean, Kelsey and Goddard. I mean, what other tight end would you? I'm not talking about like as far as what they'll do at the end of the draft. I'm saying like, or at the end of the season. It's the draft.
Hawkinson.
It's Kelsey.
Hawkinson's gonna be a top 3
Hawkinson.
tight end.
Hawkinson's situation
Yeah,
is
but
a little bit up in the air.
If you're not taking a
You don't
tight
know
end in
about
round
their
3 and
quarterback.
4,
Who's their quarterback?
Kirk Cousins.
Right now, but there's talk about they may cut him, they may trade him. There's a lot of unknown.
They say that they've been saying that since Washington.
if you're not
Agreed.
taking a tight end in round 3 or 4, and it's one of those 2 or 3, then you're waiting till rounds 7, 8, 9 sometimes.
That's fair.
So you're taking of those tight ends. I'm taking Freiermuth. Is my point.
I mean, you're going with a Freiermuth. You're going with an Njoku. You're going with somebody who's
I'm
got
going-
upside.
Yeah.
I don't want to argue this because it seems biased.
I'm
but
going with an Ingram
if I'm
there. I'm
taking
going
a
with a Kmet there.
swing, I'm taking Waller, who was basically Kelsey when he was healthy 2 years ago.
Didn't play. Like I just feel like the streak's running out for Waller.
And he's on drugs and
He's like, no, he's that. You know, that was like, I looked into that. And that was like long time ago.
So they say.
No, I mean, it was.
They don't disclose what he goes out for every time he goes out.
He was injured. He
He's
had a
into
knee
drugs.
injury and an ankle injury.
Anyway, I kind of like what you were saying, right? Like I like Pickens, I really do.
Pickens,
I think Pickens is a big
He's the touchdown guy too.
Yeah, and I think he and Pickett have a good connection. But you can't ignore the fact that Deontay Johnson averages nearly double-digit targets a game, right?
He's just, he's one of those guys I don't feel like when
And
I'm playing fantasy, I want to enjoy it.
Yeah.
And I don't enjoy starting Deontay Johnson.
Well, I
It's-
think
it's
he's
easy to do
likely to
that.
piss off the coach. Like he has been in the doghouse.
He didn't want to play.
Tomlinson several times.
Well,
too.
think about
So,
this.
like,
How many times has Pittsburgh burned us with guys like this, right? Plaxico Burress and Antonio Brown. And
Oh, Burn. I mean, he was great for a while.
No,
What
no,
do you
but
mean, Burn.
what I mean by burn is that he plays amazing in Pittsburgh, and he knows that he's amazing, and then he goes elsewhere and kind of is a bit of a basket case, right? You're kind of figuring, is this guy going to shoot himself in the leg? Is his fucking feet going to freeze off? What's going to happen here?
It sounds like an Antonio
he's
Brown
in-
burn.
he's in
I
Pittsburgh
think,
still.
I know. So I think you're going with that Pittsburgh bias. I think you're just scared because Deontay Johnson, if he's there, is going to get the lion's
No, he's
share of
just
the targets.
boring to me.
But he's fast and he
I
runs
know.
crisp routes.
Just
and,
a personal
and
thing.
He not only does
an
he get a
anecdote.
lot of targets, but he catches a lot of balls.
It's an anecdote, you know?
Is he an asshole? Yeah, he's blatantly an asshole. But I think you go Deontay Johnson.
Is he?
I disagree. I actually think that Najee Harris is going to have a resurgence this year, and I think where you can get
Why?
Najee Harris because they're going to have to depend on him, right? So you're going to have Pickett. That's going to be the bona fide number one starter this year, right? There's not going to be the Mitch Trubisky experiment anymore, and you're going to need a reliable back out of the backfield. Pickett's got enough game where he's going to spread the field to make Harris viable again. Trubisky, I'm going to pound the goddamn table. You guys do not understand how one-dimensional Trubisky is and what he does for a running back.
who traded up for him? Who traded a lot of picks?
Don't worry, we
Skipped
we
on
learned
Mahomes.
our lesson. What are we doing in free agency? We're fucking
the
swinging
Bears.
and we're hitting everything. All right, we're Trey Turner in this
You
year.
are
Okay,
hitting everything.
So
The Bears have won the offseason.
Bears have won the offseason. But
2023
Offseason champs.
offseason champ.
I
think that Deontay Johnson.
Texans clear.
Oh, you're so out of your mind. Deontay Johnson is. I think you're going to get Deontay Johnson at more of a value than you're going to get Pickens. Pickens, you're going to slightly reach, and you're going to be happy with it. But Deontay Johnson, you're going to be able to sit back and still get Deontay Johnson, where you're like,
Yeah, but
all right, I'm comfortable getting
but
him
this
here.
is my breakdown, and I just don't want to play him.
That's fine.
So
Don't
that's
care.
all I'm saying. There's a bunch of people. You
I
get what I'm saying.
I don't
There's,
care if you lose. I don't give a
Robert.
shit.
No, it doesn't mean I'm going to lose. You said to pick up Mike Gesicki last year. You remember that?
Yeah.
Okay.
I do.
So,
You also said that Danny Dimes is top 2 quarterback in the league.
I didn't say that.
Yes, you did. You
Okay.
said Josh Allen, Danny Dimes.
Donnie Dimes. I like Donnie.
Danny Dimes, Patrick Mahomes.
Listen, I know people relate when there's just that guy that's like Robert Woods when he's with the Rams. Like, yeah, he gets started. He's just not. It's not fun to start that guy. And sometimes, fantasy is you want to win, but it's fun too. And I would just a little advice: if you're playing fantasy, don't have guys on your team you don't like. Like, I like to enjoy the guys I'm rooting for and starting.
It's a good way to not win money.
Yeah, Pat Freiermuth, top 5.
Can't play with your heart.
We both played in the
Can't
same
play
league
with your
last year.
heart, kid.
You remember that?
You can't play with your
What
heart,
place
kid.
did you come in that league?
Yeah, you mean the league that I came in year 6?
The one you said you were going to win in year 2?
All right.
I did that in year 1.
You also went on a gay cruise, so I mean, there's that too.
Wow.
So
There's nothing wrong with gay.
I do agree.
It wasn't
with
a gay
you.
cruise.
Not that there's anything wrong with that. It's 2023.
Yeah, nothing wrong with that.
Yeah,
Of course.
You
Yeah.
want to explore? You're young.
Yeah.
Explore.
Hey, listen.
Not a lot of exploring going on.
We're not
You're
going to judge you for the gay cruise.
Explore, man. You know.
Pat Freiermuth, top 5 fantasy season incoming.
Okay. All right. So,
I
Rocky,
do
yeah,
agree with you real quick
you're
about
like the
the
Vasco
running
da
back
Gama of
situation.
balls.
And
Explore.
honestly, in a lot of my dynasty leagues, at the end of the year, I traded for Najee's backup because I do think Najee, I like him. I do think he's a good running back, but I do think that they overuse him a little bit.
Yeah.
I do think he tends to get hurt, and I liked how they started mixing in.
Warren.
Yeah, I
like Warren.
Yeah, Warren is a good to me.
PPR
he's-
leagues, he was averaging like 10 points a game. It's
Yeah, and
solid.
he's one injury away from being the workhorse back.
At least right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So, why don't you talk about the Browns, Rocky, since you have the floor?
All right, I will do that. So, real quick, you got to get over a couple things here with the Browns.
Like what?
Well, number
Kenny
one,
Galladay.
Deshaun Watson.
Okay,
let's talk about that.
How long have we been getting over this?
Yeah, I mean, I've
I'm
seen the
over it.
report come out. I mean, we don't have to keep talking about that. Let's just talk the football part.
Deshaun Watson, it's a guy who's essentially been a top 5 quarterback every single time he's played, and that includes
Except for last year.
Except for last year, the last 6 games of the season, and that includes on a lot of bad teams. Like it was a Texans team where he was 4 and the team was 4-12, but he was the top 4 quarterback.
I will say before you keep making your point, we got to put that in perspective because it was a little inflated because they were playing from behind
But
a whole lot.
100%. Have you met the Browns?
Yeah,
Okay,
but the
so
Browns
that's
are
all I'm
a
saying.
good team before last year.
Yeah.
They almost made the playoffs, so the
And-
Browns are not as bad as
And I
you.
do think they're making some good. Like I actually like some Kevin Smith who does like who's helped themselves the most, and he's a pretty respected writer. He actually has the Browns as the fifth best team as far as free agent acquisitions because they've shored up their defense, which helps their offense a lot too.
Yeah.
But I think, and I did this in our degenerate league. I did it in my league. I went out and traded for Deshaun Watson on the cheap because I think that if you get him on the cheap and you hold him, you could have
He
a
probably
top
liked that,
4 to
too.
5 quarterback. I do think he's going to rebound. He's going to look much better this year. A year in the system, all preseason, getting every snap. And I do think he's going to return to form. I will say this, though. Nick Chubb, to me, you get him. You hold him. You feel good about it. And I do think they're going to mix him into a lot more catching this year. I think they're going to throw the ball a lot more to Nick. So, to me, he's an absolute on the receiving end.
Definitely hold your Chubb for sure.
Hold your Chubb. On the receiving end, I'm a little bit worried about Amari Cooper. Amari Cooper got
Because
injured.
he has a shit quarterback.
No, not because he has a shit quarterback, because he got injured 4 games out from the end of the season. He opted to not have surgery, and he's got a core injury that it's recommended to get surgery, but he's never had a surgery, and he opted not to get it. So
Smart
I'm
man.
nervous because he's either going to, maybe he's recovered, maybe the rest is going to do it.
Yeah.
But this injury is one that I think he could also get hurt really early, and you could overdraft him and then end up losing him for the season.
Or maybe he doesn't want surgery because maybe there's malignant hypothermia in his family history there, you insensitive prick.
Well,
How about that? Maybe that's why he doesn't want surgery.
Mark's medical
what a
minute.
piece of garbage.
Nurse Betty here.
Thank you.
Look at this guy and tell me that he doesn't have the profile of a sexual predator, for crying out loud.
You guys are keeping Kareem Hunt, it looks like, too. Like, he doesn't have a
Are you
team
still
yet.
talking about Deshaun Watson?
I don't think they want. I don't think they want Kareem
Guy
Hunt.
just got
Yeah.
a couple happy endings. What's the
I
big
think
deal?
that they're very happy with Jerome Ford,
Yeah.
and I think honestly Kareem Hunt has lost a step. That's just my like. I don't think that they would want him unless he's a bargain
You're
basement.
burying the lead here.
Yeah.
It's a Kellen Mond season.
Kellen,
You guys went and got Kellen Mond. I mean,
no,
making
Joshua
big
Dobbs.
moves.
Joshua
No,
Dobbs.
Kellen Mond. You don't bring in Kellen Mond
To not play Kellen Mond.
because you like Josh Dobbs.
Josh Dobbs.
Does it worry you at all that Nick Chubb is hitting, like, the
Yeah.
27-year-old mark?
I mean, yeah, and he's been used a lot, but what has helped him is he's been in a timeshare back, so he hasn't been overused.
Yeah.
And in 2 of the seasons, he's only played in like 13 games
Because he was hurt.
Yeah, because he was hurt. But they were
That's
not like
a silver lining.
well, they weren't injuries that required surgeries. They weren't ACL tears.
Because he doesn't have malignant
were just,
hypothermia
like,
in
small
his
things.
family history.
I think you're going to be safe. I like as receiver. I like DPJ. He had a great year last year.
You love Donovan people.
Maxed out his bonus, neared 1,000-yard receiving
Nice.
last year, and he seemed to be the touchdown receiver at the end of the year for Deshaun Watson when he came back. So I like Donovan Peoples-Jones, and I do like Njoku, much like you talked about Pat. In the later rounds, if you have missed on the best tight ends, I think Njoku has a high upside.
All right, so Deshaun Watson, make this quick. Are you drafting him right after the run on the 3 top guys, which I would assume are Allen, help me out here, Mahomes and Hurts.
Yeah. No, I'm trying to get him on the cheap.
Okay.
I'm trying to get him because people find him reprehensible, and I can get him in rounds 3, 4, 5, 6.
Do you think he winds up there though? At the end of the season, he winds up being a top 5 fantasy
think
quarterback.
I do believe that Watson will return to top 10 for sure. I don't know that he's a top 5, but
They don't have the weapons in Cleveland for him on the outside, right?
if it's kind of like to be determined if they were to trade for Hopkins, if they sign OBJ,
Yeah.
which they're not, but it could be that he could return to top 5, but not with that receiving core.
Okay.
I think Watson's on the 8th to 10th quarterback off the board.
But what do you think he could return to as far as?
Where do you think he finishes?
I think he could finish. I think he finishes at that. I think his 4 is the ceiling. I'm a little bit more on the boring side of it, to be honest with you.
Yeah. So
Okay.
you think top 10 is kind of where he finishes?
That would be hopeful. I think.
Okay.
Yeah. Because you got to think like Josh Allen, Mahomes, Hurts, Lawrence, Burrow. Did I already say Herbert, Jackson.
Say Herbert. Jackson.
That's 7.
7.
That's 7. So Justin Fields fantasy wise is better.
Yeah.
I mean that's about it. Yeah. And then Watson's there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think the highest you can imagine, he's top 5. I think he'll fall somewhere above top 10 or above.
I take him over Aaron Rodgers in fantasy.
Hot take.
I don't know. All right, so tell us about the Bengals.
What about them Bengals? What can I tell you? First off, I want to start this
Tigers.
off with, what kind of quarterback is it that makes you hard, Rocky? You said Lamar. You said he's slight.
Hey, yo.
Dude, he's 6'2", 212, pure muscle. Lamar, that didn't sit well with me. That comment earlier.
6'2",
Yeah, I was
212.
gonna say something. He's not. That's not
It's
small.
not slight, man.
212 is slight to me.
He's not white
To
just
you?
because he's not fat like Deshaun, because he doesn't let himself get away from himself. Huh?
I mean, listen, the Bears, they could have drafted him. They didn't. They drafted Trubisky. who's the bigger quarterback, and then
Was
they
that the same
drafted.
draft?
You're a
drafted
Browns
Fields.
fan. You're the last person that should ever talk about anybody else's quarterbacks.
You might
Just
be the
saying.
two worst quarterback franchises in the league, right?
Might
here.
be.
This is like
Except
a
for the
pissing
Bears,
contest.
because we've actually had good quarterbacks, and your best quarterback is a punky
They
QB
have had
known
better
as-
Our best quarterback is Sid
Browns have
Luckman,
had
who
better
is arguably
quarterbacks
one of the
than them.
better
So
quarterbacks ever.
Well, Rocky doesn't.
The Browns have had better
it's
quarterbacks
ironic
than the Bears.
who?
because
Brian Sipe is
hold on.
not better than Sid Luckman.
But listen,
Not even
Ryan
close.
Sipe, Otto Graham,
Get the hell out of
it's
here. You're
ironic
so out
that
of your
Rocky.
mind.
Bernie Kosar,
Get the fuck
Vinny
outta here.
Testaverde.
Jay Cutler's better than everybody you just
Jay
named in that.
Cutler is not better.
Good Lord.
Rocky ignores anything pre-Super Bowl, but that's when he grew up, so it's weird. But
Boom.
he did have. I mean, it's
had
close.
better quarterbacks.
In recent
The
vintage,
Bears suck.
You know what? Jay Cutler's a nice deep cut because he is better than anybody that's been your quarterback probably since Testaverde.
Before that.
And he might be. I mean, he's neck and neck with Testaverde.
Whoa, Bengals fantasy talk.
All right.
Ladies and
Just
gentlemen.
saying.
So
Sorry.
let's hop back on this kiddie train right here. All right. So what can we talk about Cincinnati? Right? Can we talk about
I don't know.
the AFC Championship game hangover? What do we want to talk about? We want to talk about
I want
how,
to talk about fantasy. What are you
how,
talking
how
about?
Joe Burrow is overrated. What do we want to talk about here?
I mean, do you think Joe Burrows was overrated?
No, actually, I do like Joe Burrow. So I think there's a lot more question marks with Cincinnati this year, unfortunately, than there are
Answers?
answers.
Well, there you go.
And with that, last year everybody was dying for the Cincinnati stack, right? Everybody wanted Burrow, everybody wanted Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, coming back, getting some Joe Mixon in there. But there are a lot of question marks. Hayden Hurst is gone, so their reliable tight end from last year is gone.
Got nothing there.
T. Higgins and Joe Burrow are in contract years. I don't think Cincy has enough money to give them both the bag, and obviously there Joe Burrow wins out. So T. Higgins ends up moving on. So does that mean that they try to trade Higgins at his peak now and get something for him? I think it does. Which leaves, obviously, Jamar Chase is the ipso facto number one. Obviously, Chase is coming off the board in the first half of the first round. In every draft, redraft, dynasty, what have you, he's an absolute stud. Mixon, pair the legal troubles with being average Joe and also needing to get paid. I don't think Mixon factors in. They already let Samaje Perine walk to Denver. I think there's a lot of question marks with this thing. They bring in Orlando Brown, right? So they sign one of, arguably probably the best offensive lineman signing in their history.
Yeah.
But then their top offensive lineman's like, all right, well, I want out now because I want to go grab the bag. You want to bring this guy in who wasn't dedicated to you, give him all this money, and now you're not giving it to me, so I'm out. I don't know. I think this is an early hot take for me, but I don't think Cincy. I don't think they're competing next year for AFC Championship again.
All right, so
Fantasy wise, Jamar Chase.
Okay, you're not investing in T. Higgins.
Next, I take Jamar Chase again. It's Jamar Chase all day long. No, T. Higgins, because I don't know where he's going, and I don't know if he's going to be viable if he goes somewhere else.
Yeah.
You want to believe that he is, but you have to remember that T. Higgins didn't come in as a highly touted prospect.
Yeah, but
right?
he was good his
you
rookie
think
year
he was
without
gonna be-
Chase.
No,
traded.
he was, and he was drafted either what was the latter half of the first round, right? Was he like the 31st overall selection, something like that, right? Mm-hmm. But he overperformed because they weren't expecting him to be as good as he was, and I do like that. I like that he was able to do that, but was that one of those young chemistries again? Right?
Are we drafting Joe Mixon?
No,
I'm not.
I think Joe Mixon's going somewhere on a 1-year prove-it deal is what I think happens to him.
The charges have been pretty much dropped.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
no
I think
trouble.
that's cleared up. My problem with Joe Mixon and the reason why I traded him,
They used him a
every
lot.
league I had him, is that they used him a lot. He wasn't that great in fantasy. Like he was very average.
For his usage,
He was above average because
He was
he was used a shit
above
ton. He was
average, yes.
he was extremely inefficient, but
Yeah.
fantasy wise, he was a top 15 running back.
Right.
So
but
let me-
The Bengals used 5 different running backs because they were so unhappy with his inefficiency.
Yeah.
So they're looking like hell to find another. And I think the Bengals could be that team that makes a play for a Kareem Hunt, makes a play for a Zeke, makes a play
Fournette.
for another running back.
I tell you the one match that I change my entire perspective if it happens, and that's if somehow they're able to pull off a deal to bring Austin Eckler into Cincinnati. Austin Eckler comes to Cincinnati, goddamn game changer, because then you bring in the back that Joe Mixon should have been there. And Austin Eckler, guess what? Fucking surprise, is going to pay off. If
Another,
that happens.
I agree. I wanted to point out on Higgins, rookie year, and then basically exactly the same as the 2 years with Chase. 67 receptions on 108 targets for just over 900 yards and 6 touchdowns. Next 2 years, respectively, 74 receptions in both of those years, about 110 targets, and just over 1,000 yards. So he got a little bit more efficient. I think that no matter where he goes, I think he's a wide receiver 1.
Yeah.
So I would push back on that just a little bit.
I just worry about those guys that are historically wide receiver 2s that get that high production because the wide receiver 1s are so dominant.
He was a wide receiver 1.
Yeah, but he was also
They lucked into the Chase thing because Burrow got hurt, and that's how they landed Chase. They had to take him because they
were also playing
there.
from behind a lot that T. Higgins big rookie year, and a lot of his points were like garbage time points.
That's true, but halfway through the season, teams knew he was their number 1 wideout. Yeah. And he still produced.
Hey, I'm not saying I do like T. Higgins. I don't know that he goes somewhere to be a wide receiver 1 and produces. I've been let down by people like that many times.
He's kind of shut down those rumors because there were rumors that he might be traded, but
yeah,
he himself has kind of shut him down and said, "I'm not going anywhere. It's where I want to be." Now, of course, what's he going to say?
Yeah,
but I do think T. Higgins did prove it. Now, I can argue that Tyler Boyd is actually a really legitimate number 2 also.
Getting old, but yes.
Yeah.
Tyler Boyd is somebody that you
28 though.
I've been stockpiling Tyler Boyd at the end of my drafts, hoping that T. Higgins ends up elsewhere and that Tyler Boyd will take over that wide receiver 2 because Tyler Boyd will be a very respectable wide receiver 2 there. Where I would like to see Higgins go, I think Higgins in a Rams uniform,
set it off.
That's where I see him being probably at his best outside of Cincinnati.
Rams aren't.
They don't have the money.
They're not buyers.
No, they're not buyers.
They're kind of almost like rebuilt. It's weird.
They're in a terrible spot.
They have 3 guys that they're committed to. They said.
Well, okay. So real quick, end of season Joe Burrow ranking fantasy wise.
Fantasy wise,
he's a top 4 quarterback for me.
I put him at 5. I think somebody was surprised, but
I hate to say it because I think somebody that I am not a huge fan of will finish ahead of Burrow. I think I'm putting Burrow down.
Lawrence.
I'm putting Burrow probably down around 8 this year.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
I am not as high on Burrow as other people, only because
no bias.
Well, no.
I'm saying no bias.
Yeah, I like Burrow. He played at Ohio State. He went to LSU. I followed his career.
Played at Ohio State.
Wasn't good enough to play at Ohio State.
I think he was better than the guy in front of him.
I worry about his injury. And I know he's been relatively healthy all last year. I don't love his line still, even though they got Orlando Brown.
I agree.
It worries me that this other guy wants to leave, and it kind of worries me that Kansas City. Mm-hmm. The reason why they let Brown go is they didn't believe in him as a left tackle, which is where Brown wants to stay.
But he's way better than anybody that Cincinnati has had, but no bias, though.
Yeah. No, he is better. But then I thought they were going to get better because now they had these 2 guys, and then the other guy immediately said, "I'm out.
Yep.
I want to get out."
So top
10.
No
top
bias.
10. That's what I think.
Does it hurt to know that the Bengals are the original Browns? Right?
No, they're
Aren't
not.
they like the original Browns?
I saw that.
The owner
Switched
of
up.
the Browns, Paul Brown,
So the original Browns?
was left. Well, actually, was
Oh, so the Bengals.
fired by the Browns when
The owner?
Yeah.
They fired the owner?
So it's a long, convoluted story.
Yeah, but the Bengals became the Bengals were trying to be the Browns, right?
But
Yeah.
but
when
the
Art
guy
Modell
Brown
when Art Modell bought the Browns, he fired Paul Brown, and Paul Brown left and created the Bengals.
Said, "Fuck you, I'm gonna make another team."
But hold on. But so Paul Brown, they were the Browns because he was Paul Brown.
Yeah, he wasn't
got
the owner.
Fired.
He wasn't the owner.
Then he started Browns Part 2. Then the Browns ceased to exist. So now the Bengals are the real Browns, and then there's a new Browns.
Do you remember how the Browns were actually kicked out of the league
so
for
the
2 years?
So the Bengals are the real Browns. I think.
I mean, if the Giants are New Jersey. Sure, yeah, let's go with that.
Well, yeah, I'll go with that. I'm from
Man.
New Jersey. Thank you.
How come when Art's got such a big head, why didn't they become the Cleveland Modells when he came into town?
Art did, and Art is hated in Cleveland, and he's dead. And
So can we call them the
may
Cincinnati
God.
Browns?
Yeah,
no.
the Cincinnati Browns
Yeah.
and the Cleveland Modells.
You can call Cincinnati whatever you'd like.
Cincinnati Browns.
Yeah, they're
I think
pretenders.
That has a ring
Cincinnati
to it.
Paul Brown. Well, it was the originator.
Now the Bengals.
I mean, you guys left though.
the Browns wish they could do
I'm
what the
just saying.
Bengals have done in the last like 4 years.
No, we didn't leave Art Modell.
No, you guys left. Well,
Art-
you guys
Art
weren't in the
Modell
league.
left. Art Modell.
What was
left.
your record in 1999?
We actually were a playoff team.
Was it 2000?
I don't know what you want me to tell you.
Get in the archives here.
Art Modell left the city of Cleveland.
Yeah.
And he did it so poorly that the NFL allowed Cleveland to retain their history, their colors, and their name.
Well, what happened? Baltimore.
So it was a
Remember,
big
Baltimore.
middle finger.
Baltimore's
Baltimore
involved,
moved
right?
to
Yeah.
Indianapolis,
Yeah.
right? And then the NFL was like, you know what, Cleveland, we've had enough of your shit.
Yeah.
We're giving a team back to a city that deserves
Everybody's
it.
wearing
In
garbage
Baltimore,
bags over
we're going
their
to call
face.
them the Ravens after Edgar Allan Poe, who's actually a respected member of society.
Yeah.
Wasn't he like
And then
a
it wasn't
serial killer or
until-
something?
Who?
He was a poet. He was a weird ass emo poet.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I mean, Mark
Edgar
was,
Allan Poe. It definitely was.
You know, Mark was emo.
What you mean,
in
oh
high
my
school
God.
For sure.
He was a poet. He wasn't a
No,
murderer.
Mark wasn't
Bro, he
emo.
fucking, like-
He had frosted tips, bro.
Edgar Allan Poe like cut off like appendages and shit.
Yeah.
You are-
Mark knows because Mark was in drama.
Wait, that was
in high
Van
school,
Gogh.
100%.
And then
wore black
the
clothing and
NFL
black
somehow
pants.
ended up granting Cleveland. I think it was one of those like
So
amnesty.
this is
like,
this is what I'm saying. This is
The
a clone.
NFL
Gratuitous. This is
a
righted
clone
their
of the
wrong.
Brown.
They
This is-
righted the wrong and
clone.
gave the illustrious city.
wait, but they gave the city back.
Back
They
their
gave the
team.
city back their team with the name of the owner that was fired.
I mean, things
Previously.
happen.
I'm just saying the
Listen,
Bengals.
Yeah.
Shit happens.
That's a good time to change names. I would
Right?
say.
just saying
that would
the-
be the perfect
Shit
time.
happens.
The Bengals have been around way longer than the Browns.
No.
Yeah, because it's like when you break up with a girl, are you considering it 5
because
years together
once
or
they
1
were
year
in
together?
not in the league anymore, then they come
Everybody
back.
listen.
They cease to exist.
Everybody listening to this is now stupider.
After
Because of your comments.
after the second breakup with the NFL, how long have the Browns been in the NFL for?
Since I think it was 99 we came back in.
Yeah.
Okay,
It sounds like Cleveland.
so the
got-
Bengals have been around for longer then.
Yes,
No.
that's exactly.
No,
Yeah.
because you don't. I mean, I know
Well,
that
we were
you're-
on a break.
listen,
With
I know
those
that
Browns,
you're
but
like your grouping. They like to erase history.
Our
listen,
grouping.
when
you like to erase history, but the world doesn't. Like history exists.
so when the
What is-
Bengals
what does Wikipedia
when
say
the
about
Bengals
this?
were in the Super Bowl in the 80s, right? Boomer Esiason and all that jazz. These Browns didn't exist.
I don't think that's accurate.
I think that they
the Browns
weren't even
existed.
around.
Yeah, they
No,
weren't.
the Browns exist.
No, those
No,
Browns.
Those Browns did.
not these Browns.
These the same Browns.
I don't even.
different Browns.
Same- it's-
Can you come back? Can you adopt?
It's one beautiful history.
Can you adopt the dog pound
It's a-
again? That's
it's
just all.
our-
So if you
Now
insert
this
a
seems-
divorce
And
then you
we got
remarry
remarried.
2 years later, it's a different marriage.
Wait, so
No,
the
it's the
Browns,
same.
so the
No,
No,
Browns,
it's not the same marriage. You don't
Couple years
continue the
is-
marriage.
wait, so the Browns that moved to Baltimore in '95.
Yeah,
No,
those are the
no.
Browns.
But
No.
wait, but then who came?
Baltimore.
Who came?
so actually,
Modell
there's two Browns that have been around longer. Than
Who
the
became the
Browns.
Who became the Ravens then? Was it that
The
Browns team from
yeah, the Browns.
'95?
So that's the real.
Oh,
so
shit.
we got the
Modell moved.
So the disease spread.
Modell moved.
and both those Browns have been better than
the Browns stayed in
these
Cleveland.
Browns.
The color stayed in Cleveland. The history, the name. they
Yeah,
stayed in
nobody
Cleveland.
wants baby ship brown as their color on their
Mark,
uniform.
The Bears.
They're
have
orange
the same
and
color.
they're orange and navy. They're
And
not,
brown.
They're not baby ship brown. There's no brown in Chicago.
I'm just saying. I
I
find
mean, there's
it,
a lot of brown in Chicago, but
Brown.
there's no.
That's orange.
Brown.
That's orange.
That's orange.
Brown and orange. It's the
He's
Bears
getting
color.
into
How is that brown and orange?
That's just orange.
nurse.
Man,
Mark.
you are just you're salty that
I'm
Cleveland
not-
is the
I'm
Kim
not salty.
Kardashian of the NFL.
Listen,
It's just it's
I can't
terrible.
make you guys.
Wait, the Browns were called the
intelligent.
Cleveland Panthers at one point.
Oh,
Probably.
wow.
I
Frauds.
can't make you intelligent.
In
It's
May 1945, Cleveland Panthers was the most popular choice, but Brown rejected it because it was the name of an earlier failed football team. What
And
is
he-
your identity?
And he named him. He named it
Listen,
after
we
himself.
gotta
He said,
move on to pressing issues.
It's
I
the
just
most boss move.
How bad is it when you don't want to name your
don't
failed
think we have time
football
for
team
pressing
after a
issues.
previous
Why not?
failed football team?
I say this is perfect.
Here's just what. Can I just end this? All I was trying to say, I just think it's interesting that the Cleveland Browns
You don't
are
make, you're not
the
making sense.
third.
You're not making sense.
They're not the real Browns.
You're not making
They're
sense.
not. It makes perfect sense.
Who are the real Browns?
The team that Paul Brown
You gotta step outside
started
your
in
skin.
Cincinnati.
Paul Brown didn't start the team.
He started them in Cincinnati. The Cincinnati Bengals, right? He went
started
over-
the Bengals.
That is the Browns
No.
by Paul Brown.
He couldn't be the Browns because he didn't own the rights.
Because the NFL stole it from him.
Wait.
And now you're siding with corporations, as
See,
you
now-
always do.
now you
and
just
then
sound
the
stupid.
real Browns moved to Baltimore.
Wait, Arthur
you
B.
just sound
McBride. McBride was the one that acquired the franchise in 1944.
the Browns.
McBride.
The Browns.
He's a Brown.
No, I'm saying he
Yeah, he
acquired
acquired-
what franchise?
The
He-
Browns, yeah.
He acquired them in
Yeah.
so the Browns the Cleveland
then the
Browns were
Browns-
founded in 46.
The Browns ceased to exist,
they-
though,
2
in
years after
1999.
McBride bought
though.
them.
Okay, and they named themselves the Browns after Paul Brown because Paul Brown was an originator of foot. He was a
Of the Browns.
revolutionary.
Yeah, but in 1945, Brown rejected the Cleveland Panthers, but then wasn't. Who the fuck are the Browns? Is my point.
No, the Browns.
They've always been. It's
So
like
there-
God.
there was this-
They've always
hold
been.
on. There's a
They're
team.
Like omnipotent.
There was a team.
Omnipresent. They're here.
There was a good team. They had Jim Brown. It's
Yeah.
funny that they
That was
won
the
some
50s.
championships. That was it, and then they stopped existing in the late 90s.
They did.
Yeah.
You
And
don't
then-
stop existing.
Well, you do
when,
if you don't
when
exist.
your cowardly owner leaves the city in the middle of
Well,
the
that
night,
just sounds like
and
bias.
the NFL says you can't take the name and the
I
history and the
doubt he
colors.
left in
But
the middle of the
then,
night.
but then you didn't have the Browns
Same
in the
thing
league
happens-
for how many years?
Same thing happened in Baltimore, and Baltimore fought like hell
Yeah.
to keep their history, and they didn't. They weren't allowed to keep
Yeah.
when Jim. When,
yeah, but
when
at least
the
they
Irsay's-
fought. Cleveland just rolled over.
No, they didn't.
Yeah,
we
they-
won. We kept our history. The Baltimore Colts lost everything.
How long were you guys out of the
No,
league?
went to Indianapolis. They transferred that history into a lesser city.
And
How
so
long
they
were you guys
became-
out of the league?
That was very generous of Baltimore.
You know, I don't know, to be honest
Cleveland
with you.
just sounds like a bunch of
because that was
selfish
dark
pricks
history.
now.
Oh.
Cleveland is the heart of America, man. It's
I
the
don't know about
greatest
that.
city in
So
America.
hard would like.
You ever drive to Cleveland? You
Clotted
drive through like
veins.
15 hours
I
of
think
nothing.
you've never driven to Cleveland.
It's like calcium in the heart of America.
You
Have you
drive
ever
to-
been to Cleveland?
I've been through past Cleveland.
Have you ever been to Cleveland?
No,
Just
I,
answer the damn
I
question.
smelled how Paul Brown the air was.
No,
but
listen, I like Cleveland.
He's
Cleveland is a
avoiding
better
the
city.
question.
It's a better
He's
city
never been
than
to
the
Cleveland.
Browns are a franchise. They
Ah,
deserve a
that
better
makes sense.
franchise than the Browns.
Okay, all right, that
And I
makes
think
sense.
you can agree with that.
No.
Both versions of the Browns.
Well, would they benefit from moving out of town and saying going like to Dayton, Ohio? And-
I-
they could go to
listen.
Cincinnati.
I stand
that's us.
See a
behind.
real team.
I wonder if
stand
they've,
behind
I wonder if
my
they've done that
Browns.
before.
I stand behind my Browns.
I bet you
That's-
do.
You
So
stand in front of them
we-
too.
You probably push it in too, don't you?
Wow. All right, guys.
I feel like
So
that's the show.
this has been a fun show talking AFC North, and we're just jerking your leg, man.
I think you guys
For
listen.
15 minutes.
I think you guys are missing out on the and
Wait, what?
This is a misstep.
What are you
because
talking
there's
about?
so many Browns fans
I don't care about the
in the
Browns
world,
fans.
and I think you've heard a lot of feelings.
I
I think
do.
you guys
Hey.
should like apologize.
Hey, look at my face, world. Dude, I don't care.
I think you should care.
I
You are
don't.
seeking
Because you want listeners.
apologetic reparations for everything.
They'll hate
lately.
listen.
No, you want our listeners.
No, they want
There's
the
a lot of
truth.
Browns listeners.
They want the truth.
And the truth is,
The
you
truth is
guys
that they
are
didn't
stupid,
exist.
Stupid in several languages.
Oh, okay.
You're bilingual, stupid.
Okay.
He's just stupid, and I can't work with the gray matter at this table. Zach,
I think maybe it's time
he
for you to
did-
resign.
The smartest thing Zach did is not say anything.
He enjoyed the show.
Yeah, but
I
I
was
think
eating
it's
popcorn.
because his liver is catching back up from last week.
That could be it.
Could be.
All right, guys. Well, that's the show. Please, if you have time, go and find us at GON Pod. I always forget. Is it podcast or
Yeah, it's
pod?
pod,
I always
podcast.
forget. I got to write it up there. GON Pod on TikTok, Facebook, Instagram. Hopefully, if you're watching here on YouTube, like and subscribe. Hit the notification bell. You can also find us on Spotify, Apple Store, all that good stuff. We have videos up there now with our pod too, so that's pretty cool. But please leave a comment if you disagree with any of us, and tell your friends.
And no spoiler alert, but please tune into our.
No, what are you doing?
No, continue the segue or continue the plug.
Go ahead.
And not to have a spoiler alert, but we do have a second show called Guys on the Raft. Check it out.
Yeah, please check out
Konnichiwa.
Guys on Draft, where we draft stuff.
Sayonara.
All right. Thank you. We love you. Peace.